Hello! So if you watched my last video, which if you haven't, I'll link it up above, but basically I had a failed experience of trying to make a craft, so I decided I'm gonna have a positive experience and make up for that and bake a pumpkin bread, but a keto, low-carb, paleo pumpkin bread. And hopefully this recipe will work out better than my candle. So for this recipe, you're gonna need eggs and butter, a can of puree pumpkin, which if you watch my Trader Joe's video, I mentioned how I didn't know what I was gonna do with this, so I decided pumpkin bread it is. Baking powder, pumpkin seeds, and I ended up getting this one that has like a sweet cinnamon flavor to it, so it should be a nice touch. Almond flour, coconut flour, salt, and you're gonna need pumpkin spice, but I don't have like the pumpkin spice seasoning, but I do have nutmeg, cloves, and cinnamon, and that's basically pumpkin spice seasoning, so that should work. And you're gonna need a sugar replacement. I like to use this one from Swerve. It is the confectioner style, which is perfect for baking, but this is my favorite tasting fake sugar option. So let's bake. So the first thing I have to do is turn on the oven to 350. It does mention in the recipe to use a parchment paper to put inside the loaf pan, but I don't have parchment paper. So we're just gonna really grease up the pan and hope that it doesn't stick. And for that, I'm gonna use a coconut oil spray. That should be good. So in a large bowl, we're gonna mix together the almond flour, the coconut flour, the erythritol, the fake sugar, the pumpkin pie spice, the baking powder, and the sea salt. So we're gonna need 2 cups of the almond flour. By the way, this recipe is from a website called Wholesome Yum, and I actually got the almond flour from Wholesome Yum, and this is her. I'm following her recipe, but I have tried several recipes from this website and it always works out good, so I think this will come out very good. And then we're gonna need 1.5 cups of coconut flour. I just messed up. I read 1.5 and it's just half a cup. Oh dear. I didn't mix it, so it is at the top. So if I just take out a whole cup, then that should work. Okay, so that's about a cup. Let's see if I can just put this back. I was this close to messing up this entire video and wasting a whole lot of flour. Now we're gonna do 3/4 a cup of the Swerve or the erythritol. Erythritol? I don't know how to say it. Now we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/4 a teaspoon of sea salt. So now we need 2 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie spice, but since I don't have that, I'm gonna start just combining all these things equally and then try to get 2 teaspoons out of it. Different. Teaspoons and tablespoons are 2 different things. I know for the nutmeg, I can just like use a grater and just like do this and get the nutmeg out. But I do feel stupid because I don't know what I was thinking, but I don't know how I'm supposed to grind whole cloves. I mean, I guess I could technically grind them in a grinder or something, or I'm just gonna skip out on the whole cloves. It's just gonna be nutmeg and cinnamon, and we're gonna call that pumpkin pie spice because whatever. So I kind of have a mix here of nutmeg and cinnamon, and it's about 2 teaspoons worth. Too much cinnamon is never a bad thing, right? And now we're gonna just mix all of this, and yes, I'm using a giant fork. Why not? I really don't get the appeal of a whisk. I feel like it just clumps up everything and then all of it gets stuck and you have to constantly... I just feel like a giant fork does the job better. Comment down below, do you like to use a giant fork or a whisk? Okay, now we need to add 3/4 a cup of the pumpkin puree, which sucks, because then afterwards, what am I gonna do with the rest of the pumpkin puree? This is always the problem. That's close to 3/4 a cup. Now we need to lightly beat 4 eggs. And now we're gonna melt the butter, which I just pop it into the microwave. And now we just mix. Okay, now that it looks like this, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer it into the loaf pan. I think that looks good, but now we're gonna add the pumpkin seeds. She said to sprinkle it on top and then also like press it down into the loaf. So I'm just gonna first sprinkle it. You know what I just realized? That these pumpkin seeds are already like roasted. Did she want us to use unroasted pumpkin seeds? Will they become burnt? Well, hopefully it works out because it does look pretty. I really hope the seeds are not like burnt. Into the oven. So now it's gonna bake for about 50 to 60 minutes. So see you soon.
1 hour later.
So the sunflower seeds did not burn. So I don't know if my timing is off, but she did say 50 to 60 minutes and it's only been about 40 minutes, but I took it out and I put a toothpick through it and it seemed dry, like it's cooked. And I didn't want to keep going because if you kind of look at it, it's already starting to look like the borders are getting a little like toasty. Hopefully I'm right. And hopefully it's not undercooked. I'm gonna let it sit now for like 5 minutes.
5 minutes later.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try to flip this over. Hey, it worked out. Well, now when I flipped it the other way, it kind of broke a little bit, but there we go. We got pumpkin bread loaf. Is it cooked enough? I think so. I don't know how to tell. It doesn't look wet. Well, just gonna take a little. Okay, tastes fine to me. It's a little dry and it's not very sweet. So if that's what you were looking for, this would taste good with some cream cheese, like spread on it, or even some butter. Actually, hold on. All right, I added a little bit of butter. Let's see if this helps. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's pretty good for being coconut flour and almond flour and like low carb, keto, paleo. It's obviously nothing in comparison to like the pumpkin loaf you get in Starbucks, but it's still good, so. Let me know if you decide to try this recipe, and at least it worked out, unlike the candle, but. Ay, ay, ay. By the light of the night, it'll all seem alright.